playing off of that answer, you never know what can happen. Are you still getting a few reps of tackle in practice, or is it all guard for you right now?
I've been getting tackle reps since the spring, so I make sure I get both because the best ability is availability. So nothing's really changed, and I've been taking tackle reps.
How good was it to have Caden back a couple weeks ago?
It was great to have Caden back. We're very close. Like that's a brother of mine. I love Caden, so to be able to play with him again, that was great, and just very excited to see how he grows and how we grow as a left side in the offensive line as a whole.
Getting that group back, how big was the bye week to kind of clean up some things and knock some rust off whenever you have everybody playing kind of for the first time together?
The bye week was huge for us just because it allowed us to have some time to go back and watch the first 3 games and see if we made mistakes over and over again through those first 3 games and clean those up and really fine-tune them as we go into this game. So the bye week was crucial, and I feel like everybody on the team took advantage of it.
Did it feel a little weird having one this early in the season? You're normally still like kind of in the grind of the
It did feel a little weird having a bye week this early in the season, but I definitely took advantage of the time. I was able to build a new Lego set. I'm very excited about that. I started building Lego sets during the summer because we had a lot more time, so I haven't been able to build one in a while. So I built the Infinity Gauntlet one.
Nice.
It took me about 6 hours, but I did it straight through watching some college football, and it was a great time. So definitely took advantage of my bye week.
That's awesome.
What's your favorite Lego set you built?
This last one, the Infinity Gauntlet one, it's pretty cool. I was going for a realism theme at first, so I got the flower pot one, then I got the bonsai tree, but now I like the cartoon stuff, so I think I'm going to keep going with that. I'll probably get the Spider-Man head next. They're pretty expensive though.
You ever accidentally stepped on one with bare foot? It don't feel good.
Not yet. I always make sure all the extra pieces are in the box far away, so I don't step on them. So.
When you did get to go back and kind of watch some film with the other offensive linemen, what kind of things were standing out, either good or bad, that you wanted to correct?
Some good things is how well we finished. Like everybody is very competitive about getting knockdowns. Like all the knockdowns are charted on our wall, so everybody's competing to have the most knockdowns, the most pancakes every week. And that as an offensive line, like you can teach technique, you teach technique, you can teach assignment, but you can't teach that drive and that mindset of like I'm gonna drive you to the ground, I'm gonna pancake, I'm gonna put you on your back every single play. You can't teach that. So that's something that I noticed that's really great about us.
Who else on the team is into Lego building?
Olas is really big into it. He showed me some of his sets. He's built a lot more than me, so I might ask him which one I should build next.
You said 6 hours. Is that all one sitting?
That's all one sitting. I didn't get up.
Really?
I did not get up. I would be building, and then I'll look at my phone and be like, oh my gosh, 2 hours have passed, and that happened 3 times. So.
And no bathroom breaks or anything?
Nothing. I was locked in.
What games did you have on the TV?
I was watching the Cal and Florida State game first because I'm very close to Terrence Ferguson, so I wanted to watch him. Get to be able to watch him. That's a close friend of mine. And then I also watched the Tennessee and Oklahoma game as well. And then the special part about that, I was on the phone with my dad, and my dad and I, when I was back in Connecticut, we would always watch college football games together. So to be able to kind of watch it at the same time over the phone, that was great. Making some of the comments, it was really a great time. It was a great Saturday for me.
I know you had said you hadn't talked to Ellis this week, but just what's that relationship like before going into this game?
Man, like I said, I'm his big brother. Like I give him advice. I try to show him the ropes through everything that he's going through. So we both went to prep schools, then we went to IMG, and now we're at 2 of the top schools in the country. So just going through it before him, I tell him some places, some things that helped me, some things that I could have done better. So I'm just always in his ear trying to help him, and I just want to see him be great because it's not often that you see 2 kids from New Haven, Connecticut be on this big of a stage.
That last bit, just how cool is it to share that stage with them and be where you're from?
It's so cool because, like I said, not that many kids come out of New Haven. There's been a few from when I was growing up, like Tariq Black is from New Haven, Connecticut. You got Will Levis, he's not from New Haven, but he went to high school in Connecticut. He's from Connecticut, so there's a few Connecticut guys out there, and there's a lot there. So I feel like the better that we do, the more we're putting Connecticut on the map.
There's obviously no easing into the SEC schedule this year, starting out with number 2 Georgia. Kind of what's the challenge of that, but also maybe what's the benefit of kind of figuring out right away kind of what you'll have?
Going into SEC play is always fun, and like you said, there's no easing into it with this game. But a common theme through SEC play is like you're gonna be in there's a potential for the game to be a dogfight every single game. So you just have to make sure that your week of preparation is top tier. And you also have to make sure that you're ready for what the SEC presents. Like SEC is a physical conference, it's a hard-nosed conference, it's everything that you want out of a football conference. So just playing the SEC, you got to be ready for that.
How often does Jalen change and protect him before the snap?
It's hard to tell you off the top of my head. If something calls for him to change it, if he senses a blitz, if he sees a blitz coming, he'll change it. But It's really hard to get a beat on how much, if he does it often or not often. I just do what he said.
Is that part of his game that you think has gotten better?
Oh, for sure. Like he makes the calls when he needs to. He's always making sure that we do a great job of watching film together. So if there's times where we see something that he doesn't see, we'll let him know, and vice versa. So we do a great job of communicating.
I'm sure you were already asked about this at the beginning, but y'all have been one of the teams that's had a lot of success against Georgia. Obviously, it's different teams for both y'all from last year, but kind of how does last season, that game, being an underdog then winning, and then this year being an underdog again, kind of what's the motivation with that, and kind of what experience can y'all draw from that?
Like I said earlier, you can't put too much stock in what happened last year because, like as we're saying, it's last year's team. Some things that we can notice and take into this year is that we noticed that the game was won in the trenches. So we just have to make sure that on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive line, we have to play our best game because, like many other SEC games, the game is going to be won in the trenches.
What have you seen on film in the trenches from Georgia?
They're a very well-coached group. They are always where they need to be. They're a strong group, a stout group, really good pass rusher. So these are the kind of games that you come to Alabama for.
Some people who watch O-line talk about Parker Brailsford, how he's kind of brought maybe his nasty to another level this season.
Oh, yeah.
How much has that been in your influence, or what's played into that?
It's just the influence of being here. Like I said, we're a very competitive offensive line. So I came out week 1 and had the most knockdowns. Had the most knockdowns in week 2 and then week 3 as well. Just to my own horn a little bit. In all seriousness, it's really a competition to see how many times you can put somebody on the ground, because being put on the ground and having to get back up, that takes something out of you every play. That's more energy that you're exerting getting up, and less energy you're exerting playing me. So it's crucial for us to get knockdowns, and I'm very excited to see Parker continue to develop his nasty.
Have you guys talked about that much, like just the two of you kind of thing, or like in terms of him getting after people? Because I mean,
Oh yeah.
He's the kind of guy who obviously likes to have some, kind of extracurricular kind of stuff that way. Like, do you guys talk about some of that?
We do. So we know if there are certain protections and against certain formations, like I'll be free. We'll talk about like how I can get the knockdown without hurting Parker, because there are times where you can try and get a knockdown and accidentally hurt your teammates. So that's something that we do talk about. Not super often, but if it happens during practice, I'm like, hey, I'm going to hit him here, or vice versa. Be like, hey, if you get up first and I'm free, I'm going to hit him here. So just be mindful of that.
How would you describe the energy and what it's like playing in Bryant-Denny for a big night game?
It's really hard to describe. Almost like a movie. It feels like a movie almost. And what I mean by that, like something like Friday Night Lights. Like it's just everything that you dreamed of. Like I mentioned, I'm from New Haven, Connecticut. Connecticut is more of a basketball state, so being a football fanatic, watching movies like that, Friday Night Lights, it's everything you want out of a football atmosphere.
So when you think about how, being from Connecticut, experiencing what a night game, what an SEC game can be like in Bryant-Denny Stadium, how would you explain that atmosphere to whether it's freshmen, transfers, coaches who've never played in an SEC game? Like, is that something someone has to experience for themselves, or is that something? How can you describe the characteristics of what that is like?
You just gotta be there and feel it. It's really hard to describe. It's really hard. I've tried to describe it to friends and family back home. So on Thanksgiving, the big game is Hill House versus Cross. So I said, all right, imagine Hill House versus Cross times 10,000. It's just so many more people. The fanfare is amazing. You see everybody supporting you, everybody behind you. It's an amazing feeling, and it's either everybody supporting you or everybody against you. So you just have to be able to manage your emotions and control your emotions through that game. But it's really indescribable.
Well, obviously, Tuscaloosa is usually at the center of the college football world, right? And you're probably used to that. But this is another example this Saturday in kind of this new era of Alabama football. I'm curious, how do you respond to that? Whether it's the fanfare of game day or the celebrities that'll be there, or whatever. How do you respond to kind of that attention? Is it a stage you guys like to be on, or how do you respond to that as a player?
We embrace we embrace whatever's going on to that week, but we don't let anything become a distraction for us. Like our job is to go out there and win that game on Saturday, and who we do it in front of, that's cool. But our main focus is going to win that game. So if it's not going on inside of this building, we don't really concern ourselves too much with it.
Speaking of that, or speaking of somewhat of a distraction, this is the first time since I think 2007 that you guys were a road dog. As a team captain, you guys talk about that length mentality. Is that something that you how do you balance the bulletin board material that's already kind of just built into this kind of game?
And we're really focused on us. We're not really worried about being an underdog. how many points we're going to win by. Those guys, they probably never played football before. They don't really know what it takes to play in the SEC, so why should we give them our attention? Everything that we're focused on is what's going on in this building and what's going to help us come out victorious on Saturday.
Thanks.